The dragon was breathing heavily, its body starting to glow red as it prepared to unleash another fiery blast. Its eyes locked onto me, its prey daring me to make a move. But I couldn't do anything. I was frozen with fear. The dragon let out a deafening roar and charged, sending a shockwave that knocked me off my feet. Its massive claws raking across my chest, sending shards of bone through my armor and piercing my skin. Pain seared through my body as I lay sprawled on the ground. And when I tried to scream, only a strangled cry escaped my lips. The dragon leaned closer, its hot, fetid breath washing over me, reeking of sulfur and death. It opened its jaws wide, revealing rows of sharp teeth. In the flickering firelight, I could see the madness in its eyes. This wasn't just a ferocious beast. It was pure evil. Fear threatened to consume me. I knew if this dragon had its way, it would rip me apart and devour me whole. I struggled to get up, but the pain in my chest made it hard to breathe. My vision blurred, and the ground seemed to tilt beneath me. Yet somehow I managed to scramble back, my fingers digging into the dirt. I needed to get away, to put as much distance between myself and this monster as possible. But where could I go? There was nowhere left to hide. I turned, desperate, and spotted a narrow opening in the rocks behind me. It was too small for the dragon to follow, maybe just big enough for me. With renewed determination, I lurched forward, ignoring the searing pain in my side. My hands slipped, sending a fresh wave of agony through me. I cried out, collapsing on the ground. But I forced myself to my feet and stumbled into the darkness, praying that the dragon wouldn't follow. Inside the cave, it was pitch black. I couldn't see a thing. Panic threatened to overwhelm me, but I pushed it down. I had to find my way out of here, had to escape this nightmare. My hand brushed against something wet and slimy, and I recoiled in disgust. Then I heard a low growl. Something else was in here with me, something that had been watching me, waiting. I spun around, my sword drawn, ready to defend myself against whatever lurked in the shadows. "Who's there?" I demanded, my voice echoing in the vast emptiness. Only silence answered me. I strained to listen, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. Then I heard it again, a soft whimper, sounded like a wounded animal. Curiosity got the better of me. I cautiously approached the sound, my sword still raised, my senses on high alert. As my eyes adjusted to the dim light filtering in from the entrance, I saw him. A young boy huddled in the corner, his face buried in his knees. He was shivering, not just from the cold, but from fear. His shoulders shook with each sob. My anger flared at the sight of this scared child alone in this dark place. Who had brought him here? Was he another victim of the dragon's wrath? Or had he been here all along, hiding from something else entirely? I took a step closer, my voice softening. "Hey, it's okay," I said, trying to sound reassuring. "You're safe now." The boy lifted his head slowly, revealing a face streaked with dirt and tears. His eyes were wide and innocent, his gaze searching mine for any hint of danger. "Are you here to hurt me too?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. My heart went out to him. Of course I wouldn't hurt him. "No," I replied, gently kneeling down to his level. "I won't hurt you. I'm here to help." He looked away, his shoulders slumping. "I don't want any help," he mumbled, pulling his knees tighter to his chest. Reached out a hand, but he flinched away from me, his eyes flashing with fear. I pulled my hand back, hurt by his distrust. I understood why he might be afraid, but I couldn't feel rejected. I'd seen enough fear and pain in this world. I never wanted to see it in a child's eyes. I didn't want to scare him. He looked up at me then, a flicker of defiance in his eyes. "Why should I believe you?" he challenged. I sighed. How could I convince him that I meant him no harm? I racked my brain for an answer. Then I had an idea. I took off my cloak, wrapping it around the boy's shoulders. He stiffened, but I ignored him, buttoned it up as best I could, and then stood up. "There," I said softly, "afraid you'll be cold." He looked down at the cloak, then back at me. "Why are you helping me?" he asked suspiciously. I shrugged. "Because it's the right thing to do," I replied simply. The boy stayed silent, but I could see his fear ebbing away, replaced by curiosity. "What's your name?" I asked. He hesitated, then replied, "Hiccup." "A good name," I said, smiling. "I'm Astrid." He nodded, looking down at his feet. Then, as if making a decision, he asked, Can I see your sword? I chuckled. Of course. I held out the sword for him to examine it closely. His eyes widened in awe. Wow, he breathed, running his fingers along the blade. Can I touch it? I asked. He nodded eagerly. For a moment, I saw nothing but wonder in his eyes. No fear, no sadness, just pure excitement. It felt good to see him so happy, even if it was only for a moment. We spent what little time we had left talking, not about the dragon or the Vikings, but about simple things. Things that mattered to Hiccup, like fishing or exploring the island. I told him stories of my homeland, of the long ships and the icy fjords. He listened intently, his eyes shining with excitement. We talked until the sky outside the cave turned a deep purple, signaling the approaching night. Soon the dragon would return, and I knew I had to leave before then. I didn't want to put Hiccup in danger because of my presence. When I finally stood up to go, Hiccup looked down at his feet. Thank you, he whispered. For what? I asked, genuinely confused. For everything, he mumbled, not looking at me. I placed a hand on his shoulder, surprised by the lump that formed in my throat. You're welcome, Hiccup, I said softly. I knew this goodbye would be harder than I'd imagined. But I had to do what was right. I had to stop the dragon, even if it meant leaving Hiccup behind. I emerged from the cave, bracing myself for the sight of the dragon circling above. But to my surprise, there was no sign of it. I scanned the area, my heart sinking. It had left. I was too late. Relief washed over me, but it was quickly replaced by concern for Hiccup. I hoped he hadn't gone after the dragon. He was too young to understand the danger he was facing. I started walking away, my steps heavy with worry. I had to find the others, tell them what I'd discovered. They needed to know the truth about the dragon. Suddenly, I heard a familiar sound, the thud of heavy footsteps. I whirled around, my hand instinctively going to my sword. I knew that sound. I recognized those footsteps anywhere. And then I saw him striding towards me with purpose, his eyes blazing with determination. For a moment, I was stunned by his presence. He was a force of nature, powerful and wild. But there was more to him than just strength. There was a fire in his eyes, a spirit that refused to be broken. He stopped in front of me, his expression unreadable. I knew he had questions, but I also knew he wouldn't ask them. Not yet. He was too focused on the task at hand, too determined to waste time on idle chatter. As I looked into his eyes, I saw a reflection of the dragon, the fierce, untamed spirit that burned within us both. We were two sides of the same coin, bound together by destiny. Neither of us had chosen.